Hello friends, we are back. And today I am going to talk to you about how to build your dating profile. I know this is something that I kind of talked about before, and now I'm doing the video on it because I think it's something that can be extremely helpful in online dating and leading to getting better matches. So, first of all, we're going to talk about photos and the things that I think are really important in getting your image into it. And then, secondly, we'll talk about how to write something that helps really show your authentic self and will help, like I said, get a better match. Now, I just want to say, first and foremost, it does not guarantee anything, and you probably will get some real strange matches because it's online dating. And for anybody who's been there a while, you know, and for anybody who hasn't been there, for whatever reason, you may not know, but you will get matches that just don't match. But that's kind of how real life is too. If you don't, try not to get intimidated by it in terms of that, because here's the thing, in the virtual world you get that, and in real life you get that. If you go out to a bar or to coffee, or you're in real life, you may be approached by people that aren't your cup of tea, and you may want to talk to people that you're not their cup of tea, and that is life. So it's mirrored. It's just a little different because it's hard to come across. It's different. 3D is so much different than 2D, as I think most of us know. But I want to give you the best way to come across in the 2D so that you can meet somebody and have, maybe a decent date with someone that is a good match. So with photos, I'm going to tell you first and foremost that it's very important that you have probably at least 3. I would say 3 to 5 is really the best, because then you can show a little bit of a range. And for your first photo, you want to have a face photo. Now there is some I've also seen profiles that someone has like a somewhat up close full body shot type photo where you can see their face and you can see everything, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's a pretty good profile picture. But I'm going to go ahead and say that best bet is to have a nice, clear, no filter picture of your face. And I'm going to go into why. There is nothing on earth wrong with a well-lit, well-taken, nice angle photo. So I don't think there's anything wrong with, getting your best angle and having good lighting, and, if you're a person who wears makeup, wearing makeup, if all of that kind of stuff. Now, if you don't typically wear any makeup, maybe that's not the best idea, or just wear what you wear. For me, I'm not a contour person. I don't do 100, it's amazing. I love to see what, I have, done makeup and stuff in the past, and I think, all the things that people do with it are transformative and amazing. It's just that's not what I do. And if that's what you do, then that's fine. Definitely take your pictures as you are. Filters, though, other than slight light corrections, and I mean slight light corrections, just bumping up a little bit of light or something like that, when you overexpose, and I've even had videos where my face is overexposed because I was in too much sunlight or whatever. you don't necessarily want to do that in your first shot. You can have some artsy shots if you want to, some really high contrast, cool black and whites or something like that. But like for your first photo, you want to show yourself like you're going to probably like as close to as you look in person. Because here's the thing, you can't come to the date with a filter on your face. That would be weird. Hi, you come up and you've got this like Vaseline over the lens look, and you've got hearts and birds going all around your face. No, that don't do it. Don't. Like, unless, if you want to put one in there, if you're like doing 5 photos and you want to do a filter photo, fine. And you think it's funny, or like you think it's a good filter, or like it's just some popular filter that's on Snapchat or something, fine. Like, that's okay. But really, I would suggest beyond that, or more importantly than that, really, would be to have your first face photo and then have maybe some stuff that's about your life. Like, maybe you really love going to the batting cages. So there's a picture of you at the batting cages. I don't do that, but I would like to do that. I think that'd be really fun. So anyway, so maybe that's something you do every week, or every week you go out hiking, and you really love being in nature, or you love your cat. So you have a picture of you with your cat. Now, don't do 100 freaking pictures with your dog or cat or whatever. But I think it's cool to like have something like that. My suggestion is to have all of the photos of you, probably not with other people. There's just something like it's cool to kind of show your independent life. If you hang out with your friends all the time, okay, maybe there's one shot in there, but it's kind of like, I don't know, you're like showing everybody in your friend group, which is maybe a little weird on a dating profile, one. And then also, like, I don't think you should necessarily include your kids in a photo. If you have kids, I don't think, you need to show all your family members, even if you're family oriented. Maybe there's one shot, but I really feel that it's a little bit better to kind of show your independent life. That's my opinion. Plus, sometimes people will show, like, they have one picture, it's their profile picture, and it's them with a group of people, and it's like, who the F are you? Like, I can't tell which person is you. Like, I guess you could put a circle around it and then we would know, but still, it's kind of odd. And I don't see in women's profiles, I don't see this as often as I do this kind of thing in guys' profiles. And I see a lot of times, I guess I'm going into a little bit of the do's and don'ts, which are don't photos of when you're younger, like say you're in your 40s or 50s and you go put a picture of yourself when you're in your 20s in there, that's a little misleading. I've seen it where people put like their like younger photo as like their primary photo, and it's like, dude, you don't look like that anymore. And yes, we're all beautiful when we're young, and that's great, but that's not a good representation of who you are now. And the other thing I want to mention, is putting yourself next to another person and then not identifying which person you are, especially if you only put up one picture. Those are things we don't want to do. We want to put up, pictures of ourselves doing things in life. And 3 to 5 photos is great. And another thing I just wanted to mention about no filters that I think is really important. And also maybe something that is a blind spot in people's perception is that they think that people want everyone, like, I'll give my own opinion on it, and then you can take from what I say and see if you feel like this. For me, I have had people in my life, boyfriends, I could even mention a couple of celebrities, that I find flaws attractive. I find characteristics attractive. I once was seeing a guy who had a scar in his eyebrow that when he smiled, it did this thing, and it was so attractive and so fetching. And I don't know. I mean, I don't mind seeing a spot or a blemish, or like I want to see real skin. I want to see lines. I want to see smile, like when someone smiles and like all this stuff. Like to me, that's so. I love it. Once I had a partner years ago who was obsessed with this overlap in my teeth. He would sometimes say, "Hey, send me a picture with the tooth." You know, I mean, you don't know what you're blocking out. Like, honestly, I don't want to see someone, I don't care about that. And, you know, the nuance to, there's so much beauty in realness and grit and imperfection, and I think that most people actually realize that when they are in more like life connections, you know. And so to have a little bit of that in your photo, you know, especially if you want to meet somebody in person, like it's really important to show how you look. Okay? And then also I was just thinking of a couple of celebrities that I think are quite attractive, and they both have this same thing. It's interesting. They both have like a scar on their cheek, and I just think it's so cute. And that is Jacob Elordi and Timothy Chalamet. They both have a little scar on their cheek, and it's so sweet. I love it. Now, they're very, I guess, subjectively attractive people. But you know, I mean, there's just things, certain characteristics. Sometimes people will be like so hard on themselves about like the shape of their nose, or that they have a scar or things like that, and you don't know if that's somebody's jam. Like if that's like they're super into, like I like all kinds of things, but like I really do have a thing for like a longer nose, like with a bump in it. I really find that quite attractive. But I find all kinds of things attractive too. I like a lot of things, you know, but it's about the entirety of a person. And so show who you are. You in your shots, you also really need to have a body shot, because people need to kind of see like what your body type is. And I know, and people, oh, you shouldn't care about blah blah blah, but they do. And like people have different types that they're attracted to. And so if you think that you're too thin or too overweight or too, you know, this or that, there is someone who loves, like you are their dream person. So put it in there, please. Like everyone wants to see like the kind of like a nice array of who you are, and you can tell that story through pictures. Now, on to the other part. Oh, and the other thing is if you're not good at taking like a selfie or getting like, you can I would just get a friend to take some nice clear pictures of you, and then pick a couple, something like that. Just a couple pictures of you doing different things, or maybe you already have something you can add in there. That maybe you were out doing something like I said, what if you mini golf or batting cages. I just feel like I want to do those things for some reason. And then you have a picture of it, or you like horseback riding and there's a picture of it, something like that. Put that in there. So just stuff that kind of represents your life. If you like to play guitar, if you like to, I actually don't. I do play guitar. and instruments and stuff, and I don't put that stuff in my profile anymore because I feel like sometimes I don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I just kind of stopped doing that. I put in my profile, which we are getting to now, that music creation is something I enjoy. So, here's what I see on a lot of profiles. Well, one, a lot of people don't write them. Please write just something, just a little something. And you want to write what's called something like an elevator pitch. Elevator pitch, if you don't know, that comes from the sales world, and it basically kind of puts everything together in a way to present it to a person. So, your little elevator pitch about your personality is going to reflect some things about you. Some sites you can write quite a lot, other sites limit you, and I would say no matter what the site is, I actually think it's good to I think a little bit less is more. I think that it's kind of important to, you can bullet point some stuff out if you want to. Sometimes that's a good way to do it, but I think that you want to be concise. Like, sometimes a long sentence can be shortened into a few words. And I think that good writers know how to do that. But I can show you how to do that very easily. And what I'll do is what I explain here, I will just copy and paste what I explain here into the show notes, so you can take this and then make it into your own dating profile. Just replace it with whatever you however you are. So, a lot of people, I'm just going to preface it with a lot of, like a cliche dating profile will say stuff like, I like taking long walks at the beach, I like sunsets, I like to laugh, I like music and art. Or I like music, I like movies. Okay, so a lot of people like those things. What I want you to look at is the why, where, how, those things. Kind of add those things in. Like if you say, I like sunsets, okay? What do you like about sunsets? What specifically? You could say, I like seeing sunsets because it's that time, it's a quiet time of the evening, and I get a chance to feel peaceful. I know, and that might sound, that sounds so California. Oh my God. But it's just an example, right? If someone says, I like to laugh, I mean, who doesn't? But the thing is your sense of humor the same? So if you say, I like to laugh, instead of saying, I like to laugh, give an example of, you can say, I find this type of comedy funny, or this comedian funny, because there's a big difference between what kind of, like, I find a lot of different comedians different, or I find a lot of comedians different. I find a lot of different comedy that I like. However, and there's contrast and stuff to those. But I think that, like, if you know, like, you have a really crass sense of humor, and like you gravitate toward, like, you know, certain kinds of comedy, you can make somebody aware of that. I often say that, you know, I think absurdity is funny, or like maybe I could I really find stuff like Spinal Tap funny, and I also think that I really like old British comedy shows, and I like stuff like Blackadder, and I also love Maria Bamford. And all those things are kind of different, but there's also kind of a weird line through that somehow. But I think if you explain something like that, and then same thing with film. I'll like throw a favorite film director in there. Anytime I say anything, I almost always will just say, yeah, I'm a David Lynch fan. That says a lot about somebody's taste. If someone likes David Lynch or Fellini or they gravitate toward Disney or something like that. That's maybe they like all of it, but you can see different range in a bit of range in someone's personality, because not believe me, David Lynch and people who are watching this know, if you've watched any David Lynch, if you've watched John Waters, if you are a Fellini fan, or you watch old film or Alfred Hitchcock or any of these types of things, that's kind of specifically odd. A person who's attracted to those kinds of things, it's a thing. Same with music. Like, I don't think everyone is gonna be into Napalm Death. If you've been on this channel, you probably know I am. Not everyone is going to be into, like, I like a lot of stuff, music-wise. So I'll kind of, sometimes I'll mention a bit of a range of like, oh, I like classical to disco, or I like classical to death metal, whatever. Or, or I could just throw out that I'm a big fan of Mike Patton's work. And then, that'll say something kind of about the range of my music taste. Okay? And you want to do the same. You're like, if you're a Swiftie, you could say, I really love Taylor Swift. And you might even want to say, because, people know this. I don't know. I mention her a lot because she has a really strong following, and I don't know much about her other than that. I think she's probably, I saw her say something, and it seemed like she was pretty good person. But yeah, so like, but that's a specific thing. If you're a Swiftie, don't try to hide it. Be it. If you like Lady Gaga, go Gaga for her, all right? So I think these are the kinds of things that kind of get missed. And you can bullet point this out very simply. Or you can do things, I used to have a little bullet point list of things that kind of like were my archetype, in a way of just like, that I'm into forests and combat boots and black eyeliner and, just kind of the art of Salvador Dali, and just kind of like, seeing the moon. I think, yeah, because I travel to the moon all the time. Kidding. Well, obviously. Why would I go there? But I like to look at the moon. I like to look at the stars. I like nature a lot. So I keep looking at the wrong area on this stupid iPad. Sorry. But in any case, these are ways to just fill out your profile without, like, writing a novel. You don't need to do that, and you don't necessarily want everyone. And also, oh God, please don't be so, don't, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna say it again. Don't be negative. I didn't say it the first time, so I am gonna say it again. It's best to be in a positive, and what I mean by that, I don't mean that you can't be like somebody who sees dark things in life, and you can be somebody who even says something about I into darker things, or I like dark philosophy and I listen to Alan Watts and blah, 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 whatever, Or Nietzsche. I love Nietzsche and blah, blah, blah. That's fine. What I'm talking about is if I see somebody put on their profile something like, don't be like this, don't be like that, don't do this, don't do that, you can't, da 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 da. It's an immediate no. Because you can weed all of that stuff out. It's so simple. If you don't want somebody who, and for somebody to say, no drama. I've talked about this before. It's a huge pet peeve of mine, because while I think I understand where someone's coming from when they say they don't want drama in their relationship, is I think most people don't want, the kind of drama that is like someone who constantly stirs up trouble in a relationship or, things like that. I understand that. But here's the thing. First, to expect someone to not have any kind of baggage at all, or anything that they're working through, or that, that they haven't had adverse experiences in life, is very unrealistic. I don't know of anyone who doesn't really have anything if they've lived life at all. Even people that are, people go through things at early times in their life, all the way up through, into your 70s and 80s. And so when I see someone say something like that, it also makes me feel like maybe they don't, know how to go through relationship, or they are bad at picking relationships, or, it's like, if you continue, and also sometimes people like that, they are the ones who actually create the problems, and because they're not emotionally intelligent. So I think that's another one that's important to look at too. When you see that, when I see that, that's kind of what I feel like. So if someone's already telling you how to act and how to be, I think that's a bad sign. And I would say to steer clear of those kinds of things and put things in a positive light. Like, for instance, if you are, maybe you don't want to be with somebody who drinks and smokes, you can say, you can come from the point of view of yourself, I am alcohol and drug free, or I live a alcohol and drug free lifestyle. You don't have to say you don't, because that's no, discern yourself. If someone, like, for me too, like, if someone puts down women only, no guys. Oh, well, you're a homophobe. Great. Like, sorry, like, just for me, that's a deal breaker right there. If someone puts that, it ruins the whole thing, because I'm not going to go out with somebody who, if you're online dating and a trans person or a man, a gay man approaches you, you don't even have to respond. It's exactly like everybody else. But if you put that in your profile, it's one of those things. Actually, here I go again with the whole thing of, like, maybe people should put that in their profile. I'm just telling you, I don't like the negative things. When people put, you can't be this, don't be like this, I don't like drama, da 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 da. I think that, okay, so if in the case you don't like drama, and what that means to you is you don't like somebody who causes scenes or stirs things up, you may want to say, I'm looking for somebody, or I'm interested in meeting someone with great emotional intelligence, and is a good communicator. I mean, you can put things in the positive, because if you have those two things, you're probably not a very over dramatic person or whatever. And if somebody's talking to you about somebody who's non-emotional, or like, I don't know, like I don't know. I like someone who's like deeply in touch with their emotions, and is perceptive, and is able to go deep in things like that, and able to communicate very well. And so, I just look for things like that. And I think that when you're writing your own profile, I've gone a little deep. I've also gone off track a bit. I realize I do that a lot. Like, I write notes for some of these that I do. And then even then, sometimes I feel like going into the nuance of it, and then some of my own opinions. But in any case, so when you're writing your profile, I think you get my point around the elevator pitch. And like I said, I will put in the show notes, I'll go ahead and put like a little kind of template example that you can just copy and paste and kind of make it your own. And then I'll also write out kind of a list ahead of that for what kind of pictures are best to post, so that you have a better idea and you can go forward. And if you do watch this video and you do make these changes to your dating profile, or create a dating profile, let me know how this goes, and if you feel like it worked to your advantage in getting a better date or better matches. Because that is my point of doing this whole video. I really want you to get better matches, because in the last video where I talked about dating profiles, I kind of was like, both men and women's dating profiles are bad. And I feel like, I have done this and had enough experience and learned from not only my own experience, but also in programs, and from being coached around dating and things like that, how to like create a really nice profile that gets you better matches. And I really want this for you, so that you can go on better dates and like maybe potentially get into an awesome relationship. So also, if you have any tips or something that's worked really well for you, I would love it if you posted below, and help the rest of the community out, whoever's here to read it, because, I'm just coming from my perspective, and other people's perspectives on this can be absolutely invaluable. So, hope you have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye.